everyone. Welcome to MomCom. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Shannon. And today we are going to talk about why it's not you, it's the nervous system.
Yes, and we have a very special guest. I'm so excited to introduce Nicole Ramsey. She's a mom, a healer, an occupational therapist, and owner of Charleston OT. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we have so much to talk about today.
I mean, so much. But I think before we really get into sort of the nitty-gritty and all the things we want to go into, aside from the credentials that Nicole just shared, tell us a little bit about you, Nicole, and, just a little bit more of your background.
Yeah. So I'm a mom. I have 2 boys. They're 4 and 6. I homeschool them. So we spend a lot of time together.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I have a little homestead. I have chickens, goats, dogs, and cats. So yes. Yeah. That's a little bit about my day to day.
So when things go south, we're coming to you.
Yeah, come on. Yes.
Because I
come on
don't even
down.
have so much as a garden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I really pictured
You buy a lot
myself
of plants.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Every market we go to, she's like got plants coming out of the stroller.
Yeah.
I'm getting plants, giving them to her. I kill everything.
The garden's a lot of work. I feel like the last couple of years I've been into it. And then once everything starts fruiting, then I'm like, this is kind of a lot.
So how do you do all that and homeschool and be and run your business?
Yeah, honestly, people ask me that a lot. And just the last few years, I've gone really deep into my faith. And I feel like that's the thing that carries me is this has a much deeper purpose. Like the work that I'm doing for my children and for my community, it feels it's coming from something much bigger than me. So it feels a little easier to carry because it is a lot of responsibility.
I feel like when you enjoy it, then it doesn't feel like work.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're following your passion.
Yeah. And going to the nervous system, I just feel like our brains are so much more capable than we even realize. And we put a lot of self-made limitations on our capabilities.
Yes.
So as I've done my own nervous system healing work, I'm like, the things that I can tolerate and handle today, a couple years ago, would have felt crushing.
That's really a good perspective because once you do the work and you kind of get to a different place in a year, you can handle more.
Yes.
You can have that purpose of this is kind of like how MomCom came about. It was in my mind and I wouldn't have been ready to do this a year and a half ago. I had to do a lot of healing and get to a different place.
So what you're talking about is the whole work that we do for Charleston OT with the nervous system. It's resilience. It's just constantly growing and expanding the nervous system's capacity to hold stress. And, when we're in this place where we can't hold it, it goes to distress. And then when we can get back to baseline and integrate the stress, then it becomes eustress. And that's what allows us to be resilient. So that is the work that we're doing with the nervous system with the reflex integration.
And I think what's fascinating is we're all on different journeys right now, right?
Yes.
So you've said you have really put the effort and put the work in for nervous system healing. You spent quite a bit of time doing that. And as you said,
I'm getting
sort
there.
of a year and a half ago, this idea was there, but weren't ready. I guess maybe I'm just starting because I'll tell you what, my nervous system is on fire all the time. And I think that for anyone listening, everyone is on a different part of that journey. And I think, Nicole, what I'm really hoping to get into today as well is just some of the, I think sometimes when people hear OT, maybe our brain goes to one place, like, fine motor skills or whatever it might be. And also thinking maybe it's just for children. And so I'm hopeful that we can dig into all of that a little bit deeper because I've learned so much just in, having you come on and kind of learning more about you and your practice. So if we take a big step back, I think it's worth saying how you ended up here and how the two of you met each other.
Yes. So just in my journey with Quinn and Griffin and trying to figure out why they were so dysregulated, so anxious, the functional medicine doctor led me to Nicole and said, you should go there for craniofacial therapy.
The craniosacral fascial.
There you go.
CFT.
Yes. So that's how we started. And then, so you can talk a little bit kind of about what that is. But then we transitioned Quinn to primitive reflex integration therapy. And I think that we can kind of talk about what these do and how it plays into your children's behavior, right? because I notice a huge difference when Quinn does primitive reflex integration. She's a lot more regulated. So how do you explain that to a mom who's like, what? I mean, for me to remember to say that is crazy.
And that's what I'm thinking too, is our starting place, right? Like our starting place in this conversation. I think it's one around OT in general, what led you to start Charleston OT, and then getting into some of these more specifics. Like these are some phrases that, honestly, I hadn't even heard of before.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about my journey as an OT because I did practice traditionally for a long time. And my background when I started out was in neuro, but with adults. So brain injury, spinal cord injury, stroke. And when I moved to Charleston, I've been in Charleston since 2014 now, I switched to pediatrics. And a few months in, I started noticing these compensatory movement patterns that looked almost neurological, like what I would see in somebody that had neurodeficit as a compensation. But the children were neurotypical. They just had like developmental delays. So I was like, what is this? That is so bizarre. And I did my research and my deep dive, and I was like, okay, there must be their reflexes are retained, not integrated. And I, did another deep dive, and the only course I could find at the time was MNRI, which is the Masgutova Neurosensorimotor reflex integration, which is the main technique that we provide at Charleston OT. And I went to that first course, and the courses are set up where they're instructing and they're demonstrating the technique. It's a manual therapy, so it's very hands-on. And then you're breaking off and you're practicing on each other. So I received an insane amount of therapy that was a 4-day course. So I probably got like 8 to 12 hours of therapy, which is, if you think about it, 3 months of weekly therapy. And like the shift in my nervous system after that first course, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to learn everything that I can about this. This feels very important.
I feel like we need to go take that course.
Parents take it all the time.
Can I do the fast track?
Parents take it all the time because
they do.
It's so helpful. Like you can, especially if there's not a therapist in the area.
Right.
Because the therapist has to be trained. We learn about the reflexes in school. We learn how to test for them. We learn, yes, they're important for development, but that's it. So this is all additional training that therapists have to take.
So I guess as a parent, I didn't know anything about reflexes. I think a lot of moms don't. So basically, correct me if I'm wrong. So let's say as a child is developing, you have these reflexes that are supposed to integrate into your nervous system at a certain time, like certain ones at certain times in their development.
Yeah.
And because of other reasons, like for example, I think to myself, is it because Griffin's head was a cone when he came out and he was stuck and it took 2 hours to push him out?
Yeah.
Do you think that had anything to do with him not integrating his reflexes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So a little rundown on the reflexes. So we all have these reflexes genetically encoded in us. There's like 20 to 30 primitive reflexes, which it's different than like the reflex that they check at your knee. That's just a very spinal cord level reflex. It doesn't go up to the brain. The reflexes are located in an area of the brain called the brainstem, which is a very low level. The brainstem only cares about protecting and survival.
Okay.
So if you think about a baby, they can't protect themselves. They're dependent. But, God forbid the baby fell off something, we would want their bodies to reflexively respond for protection. If you think about, the rooting reflex, it helps them find food.
Right.
So all the reflexes are to keep the baby alive and safe.
I see.
At birth. So they develop in utero as the baby is moving around. They get activated. Coming down the birth canal. And then they integrate in the first year of life, which would mean, so the reflexes are the foundation of development. So think about a house. We have the foundation. We need to have that first, and then we can build the rest of the house on top of that.
Okay.
So if the foundation is cracked, you could still build a house on that. It might look nice, but at some point you're going to have problems.
What a great way to describe it.
So and the brainstem, and then we have our higher brain, which is the cortex, which is where motor planning, coordination, emotional regulation. So as the reflexes integrate, we're making these neurological pathways up to the cortex.
Right.
When that pathway is established, the cortex takes over. So we see coordination, we see emotional regulation, we see advanced sensory processing. But we don't want the reflexes to go away because we want to be able to access them if we're in a situation where we're going to be in survival or protection.
Right.
Like if we fall, we want our hands to automatically come out. That's hand supporting. We don't want to have to think about it. We want our bodies to automatically do it. But when the reflex doesn't integrate, we don't have access to that reflex functionally, and we don't have access to the skill that would come after
and so the work that you're doing is to help to integrate and activate those reflexes automatically? Is that
Yeah, it's to regulate, to modulate them, the activity. So if the reflex activity is active, and in the brainstem is also our fight or flight system. So if the reflex is active, like our brain thinks there's some kind of danger.
So I said activate, but you're saying regulate. Okay,
yeah, so we're modulating, and it's neuroplasticity. We're creating neural pathways up to the cortex. And then once that neural pathway is established, it's going to stay modulated in the brain activity is going to stay up here until we need it.
So just, again, taking a quick step back. So I mentioned before, I think maybe some of us have an incorrect, or maybe just not the full depth of what OT entails, right?
Yeah.
So, because everything you're describing, I'm completely drawn in and fascinated by this, and it's making me connect so many dots, if I'm based. But traditionally OT, how would you describe that? And then with everything you've just described with the reflexes, can you just help our listeners, like, what are some of the signs us as mothers should be looking for? Because now I'm feeling like, well, how do I know what type of help to get? So if you could help kind of clarify some of that.
Actually probably 90% of practitioners are practicing this way. Charleston OT, we're pretty much the only company that provides this therapy in the area, and maybe even in the state. There's a few providers, but most practitioners are still providing this traditional OT, which is it's therapeutic activities or sensory processing.
Right.
Those are the big things that we see in OT. And we still provide those. Those are still important, but they're harder to move through if the reflexes are not integrated.
Right.
So when we think of traditional OT, we think of like tabletop kind of sitting, handwriting, buttoning, things like that. Sensory bins, like these sensory programs that we're providing, swings, which are still very important. We still need to mature the sensory systems in that way. But with the reflexes, it's more so. The way I describe it is like before I practiced the reflex integration, I would be working on buttoning, and we would be like 6 months of like buttoning. And it would be like, okay, after we're just like doing this rote like skill drilling essentially. And maybe they would improve by one button in that amount of time. Like I'm bored, the kid's bored.
Yeah.
So with the reflexes, I'm like, okay, well now I can work on their grasp reflex and I can work on their upper body reflexes, and I can do these skills checks every so often. And because we've primed the nervous system to learn the skill, it's less focus on that and more focus on prepping the nervous system to be ready to learn that skill.
And so then does it happen at a more rapid rate because you've kind of not fixed, that's the wrong word, but addressed the root of the issue,
the foundation.
Versus, back to the house analogy.
So we fix the foundation. So yes, sometimes it's quicker, it's more natural, and it's more developmentally appropriate how it happens.
Yeah.
And it's going to stick because if the reflex isn't integrated, yes, the child might be able to button, but they have some sort of compensation along the way.
Right. So it's almost is it fair to think of it as like rewiring?
It's rewiring. It's repatterning. So that's what we call it, repatterning. We're actually, and it's neuroplasticity. So I think for a long time, the medical community thought like our brains, once you hit age 7, like the foundation is set for your neurology. And that's not the case. Like we know that the brain can change. The brain is plastics, which means it can change throughout life.
Yes.
Which is why when I went to the course, I felt so much change.
Right.
Because our brains want to function as efficiently as possible. We just have to know the conditions to provide the brain to function the way that it's meant to. And it will shift. Like once we introduce that, the brain's going to slowly accommodate to the highest level of function.
Yeah. I mean, I see it in Quinn already. She used to fall down all the time, like downstairs, flights of stairs. She's fallen down flights of stairs about 3 or 4 times in her lifetime. But also, like, she would have these temper tantrums and she would destroy every single thing in her room. She would be anxious. She didn't want anyone else to pick her up, to look at her. When she was little, if someone looked at her, she was crying. And as a matter of fact, I went to the doctor and I said, all she does is cry. And they said, that's what kids do. That's what babies do. They cry all the time. And in my gut, I knew that this level of crying all the time was not normal.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it. But everyone else made me feel like that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Babies cry. I don't think that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And now that she's been coming to you, I think for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
I see like you've known her for a long time. Can you see like she's just happier?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Overall, she is happier. And then you guys, because she has dyslexia, it's harder for her to tie her shoes. And your therapist is like helping her tie her shoes. And now she can tie her shoes,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. Like, it's not just one solution you're offering, like you're, as you already mentioned, integrating. So she didn't have the primitive reflex integration therapy going on at the same time as doing these other things that she's focusing on, like she has dysgraphia.
Mm-hmm.
So as she's writing or doing a project, the therapist is working on her reflexes at the same time.
Yeah.
So that makes so much sense.
Yeah. And to go back to like the traditional OT, so the reflexes happen on neurosensorimotor pathways. So there's sensory input coming in, the brain is processing, it's sending a motor output out. And that's the natural way that we learn. But with traditional OT, we kind of isolate the sensory over here and the motor over here. And so the brain cannot accommodate efficiently. It's two different things. Whereas when we work with the whole sensory motor pathway, then the sensory improves and the motor improves and the neurological processing improves, which is why we see less, like the tantrums, the behavior is a sign that like the fight or flight system is just overwhelmed.
And I feel like it's my fault. For some reason, I feel like I'm the reason, even though I thought I'm going to provide this safe, happy home for my kids, and yet I have 2 of the most dysregulated kids. And I'm thinking, but wait, there's no like chaos going on at night. You're safe in your beds. Like, why? How is this happening?
Yeah, it's not your fault. So we can get into the epigenetics of it. So epigenetic research shows that emotional traumas stay genetically with us for 7 generations. So
wait. You say that again?
So emotional trauma expresses in our DNA. It's passed down for 7 generations.
In my body.
What we see in our children right now, like our generation of children, is the expression of 7 generations. So think back 7 generations, it's like 200 years.
This is, my mind is clearly blown.
It's crazy. So the thing, what we're seeing, so think about like how we felt growing up. Like, what would have happened if you would have acted like that? Like,
oh my gosh.
I was terrified. Like, I would have been.
I can't even tell you what would have happened.
Exactly. So what we're seeing right now with our generation of children is we have created the safety in our homes so that this can express.
Right.
Like it has to come out. It's the nervous system dysregulation is literally 7 generations of suppression and we have created safe homes.
Right.
The difference between what you felt growing up and what your kids feel is the bonding is there. The safety is there for them to be able to act like that, truly.
And not just push it down as far as possible.
If it doesn't come out, it's going to keep getting passed down. So this is...
So we're changing it now.
Yes. So this is truly sacred work. And some of my training has been under Indigenous medicine people. So that's a big in their cultures is 7 generations. So what we do today, how we act today can impact 7 generations. We can wipe this trauma that's happened and we can pave the way. So it's bigger than just our children.
Right.
It's much bigger than that.
Or helping their children.
So like you've successfully created a home where your child can express, and it has to go. We just have to move the energy. Like we have to discharge it.
Right.
You know,
that
we
makes
can't.
so much sense.
Yeah.
Wow. So actually it's not, because we were always saying.
Not you.
You succeeded
But
in creating safety for your children.
Because they feel safe, and these huge emotions are able to come out, because that's, I mean, I feel the same. Like, what did I do? And even going back to what you were saying about, you know, when the actual birth process, like Thomas's shoulder was displaced. He was stuck for a while. He was not breathing when he came out. And, you know, I often am like, oh my gosh, why does my body fail me? But yes, it's the,
we can go through hard things. Like that's part of life. Like we don't want, it's okay if our children struggle. The big thing is the resilience and getting back to baseline, because that's how we change it from distress to the eustress, the good stress. So, and then we grow, and then our nervous system's capacity to hold stress grows.
So so you do the primitive integration therapy, and then also I wanted to talk a little bit about the fascial therapy.
Yeah.
Because that's originally what I came to, and you were treating Griffin for that.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that and how that plays into it. And then what can we do for our kids when we're not going to therapy? Like if we're, you know, home with them and they're having a meltdown, like what do you suggest?
Yeah. So I always do both. So I do primitive reflex integration and the fascia therapy. So even when they were coming to me, like probably the first session I assessed their reflexes. But the fascia work, so the vagus nerve, I don't know if you're familiar with that. So the vagus nerve is like the largest nerve in our body. Its function is essentially to detect any kind of danger. So the vagus nerve is within the fascia system. So if we have tension in our fascia system, it's essentially going to trigger the vagus nerve that there's a problem and keep us in this state of fight or flight, which is going to activate the reflexes, put us on edge, and it just creates this cycle. So we can work with the body. So in the book, The Body Keeps the Score, he talks about how like these emotional experiences, if we don't process them, they get stored in our tissues.
They do.
And the main ways that he says that we can discharge this energy is through movement, touch, and breath.
Okay.
And so like before we started recording, you were like, oh, I breathed a heavy sigh in the car. And that's your body's way of regulating. So we can do breathing like that with our children. If we're doing breathing, we want to exhale for longer than our inhale. Simple breathing. Movement, I mean, walking is the best way to reset. Just everyone's dysregulated. Like we're going to go outside for a walk and just walk for like 20, 30 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah.
How do I get them to come?
Seriously. And what happens when it's at nighttime and we can't go outside?
Yeah. So touch is also, so movement, touch, and breath. So there's research that extended hugs releases oxytocin. So a hug longer than 20 seconds is going to get you there. Like hug your kid. Don't let them not stay in the hug. You'll feel when you hit,
you do feel that
when you hit 20 seconds, you'll feel.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I have a question too.
I'm like, please help my family. No.
Yeah.
When my son is completely dysregulated, which happens more often than I'd like to admit, I'm very big on like if we just hug this out, when he's in that state, he wants me get away from me.
That's what Quinn does.
He will throw everything at me, and I'm like, I'm just going to stay here until you feel comfortable. So I can't get him to go on a walk. I can't get him to hug me. When I touch it, it feels like my touch for him is like poison.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, again, kind of sorry, I'm getting very personal. Like, heal us, but what do you do in that situation?
Yeah,
so I'm sure Thomas
I
isn't
would
the
keep
only.
trying. I would just, it's kind of like introducing new foods. It takes however many exposures and just keep trying. Like, get the touch. It doesn't have to be a full embrace, but even like maintain that touch.
Okay. All right. That's a good point. So Quinn is the same way. I think we were both going to say the same thing. Like she won't let me hug her when she's upset. She pushes me away, but I'm a big hugger.
Yeah.
So I love to hug. Griffin will melt in my arms like that.
Yeah.
And I could do tapping on him and he'll let me do that. Quinn, no chance. But if you just like put one hand.
And I wouldn't wait until they're so dysregulated.
Yes.
Yeah. I would implement 20-second hugs, walks, breathing so that they're more regulated in general.
Got it.
Like, don't wait to implement the technique until they're like spiraling.
Right.
And the other thing is, like, our children's nervous systems are never going to surpass our own.
Okay.
Like, this process, it's co-regulation. So they can only go as far as we are. So if your nervous system is like a freaking squirrel inside, like,
oh man, I'm failing.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
But you are opening like my eye. I'm like, because your nervous system. Wait, say that part one more time.
Your child's nervous system is never going to be more regulated.
Never going to surpass.
Yes. So we can't expect that. Like, we're just like, oh, we want.
Okay.
Yeah, but it looks different. When we look dysregulated, we're not having these, or maybe we are. And it's okay. And if we are, it's okay. It's about rupture and repair, right? Like, it's okay. I lose my all the time.
Yes.
And I apologize all the time.
Yeah, me too.
I do too.
Repairs.
And it's okay. Like, we're human, and like, our kids need to see us have big feelings too, and they need to see the other side of that.
Yes.
That's right.
Like, I tell my kids all the time, I'm human. I'm not a robot. I'm
and
human.
It's okay. And then think, like, I'm just like, well, how long have people been exploding in my family? I mean, at least 7,
gosh.
right? But no one ever apologized to me.
No
one.
Never.
And my kids are like, it's okay. And sometimes they're like, stop yelling at me. And I'm like, dang, like, you're right. Like,
yeah. And you have that moment
and
of
it's
like,
okay.
oh my gosh,
Yes.
you're just this innocent baby. And I'm like, like, sometimes I feel like, what just took over me?
Yeah.
Like, how did I, as a 41-year-old adult,
it's not yours.
ancestor.
Like, it's not yours. And that's the thing is, like, we can't pretend it's not there. It's there. It's literally 7 generations of this stuff happening, and our generation is turning it around.
So, sorry, the question, I have so many
So
questions.
I have one thing.
Yes, go.
I've really been thinking about how for me, I believe that my children were brought here to help me heal. Like, they are the biggest spiritual teachers I think that I will ever have. And so many relationships that come into our life are here to teach us. But for them, they are the biggest teacher for me because it wasn't my goal to have children. It wasn't my goal. And I met a man who I was like, oh, he would be a great dad. And I'm going to do the complete opposite of everyone else in my family, right? I'm going to have this different life. And then they came and I was like, oh my God, we're back to chaos, screaming, yelling, fighting, all the things that I was so anti and that I was going to do differently. But it took me like 8 years to figure out that it was me, that I needed to heal what I went through, because before I had kids, it didn't bother me. I thought I was fixed. And then they were the biggest triggers in my life.
Yeah. Mirrors. Yes. And I mean, it's, my oldest is like my image and likeness. He looks like me. He has my same attitude. And I'm like, okay, this is a very different parenting experience than my youngest, who's like sweet and snuggly. And it's, there's no preference or anything, but that child is my biggest teacher in this lifetime.
Yeah.
He is such a reflection. And I'm like, he has the biggest feelings. And I'm like, all the time, I'm like, thank God that he feels safe enough to act like that, because I never would have acted like that. And it's this thing where we see, and it's like the bedroom generation and the living room children. Like, my kids, I'm like, go play in your room. They're like, absolutely not. But like, why did we want to be away from our family? Like, we were so isolated because the bonding wasn't there. The safety wasn't there. It was safer for us to go play in our rooms by ourselves. Like, my kids never play in their rooms.
Neither do mine. Mine don't even want to be, if I'm downstairs, they don't want to be upstairs.
And you're not failing.
Did you hear that? I want to make sure you hear this.
I didn't know this episode was going to, I've been so excited for it. I feel like I'm having a lot of breakthrough moments right now.
Like,
this is what Mom Called is about.
We're not going to change it all. It's going to take 7 generations to turn around. So all we can do is the best that we can.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah. All we can do is best we can. There are so many amazing things that you were sharing in this episode that are helping to make.
They're going to help so many people
feel human. And they're like, because we always talk about, are we failing? What could we be doing better, different? But actually, we're doing
exactly what you need to do.
Realize our kids feel safe.
This is like the turnaround generation.
Yeah.
So this is fascinating. Now here's a question I have, because you mentioned in our area, you're really the only practice doing this.
Yeah.
So thinking about our listeners who are all over, if there's not this type of support in other places, I mean, you've talked about breathing, hugging, physical touch, but is there a starting place if you can't find somebody like you and somebody like Charleston OT to support?
Yeah. I mean, well, we do have families that travel for like intensives.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
you
right.
know,
Great.
you
Okay,
can
that's
come
good to know.
and do like a whole day like of therapy or a couple days of therapy.
Okay.
Honestly, if your child is really struggling, that's
the
a
move.
great option.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, mom, go take a course
Yeah.
and then you can do it. I mean, how healing would it be for the mom to be providing
So what is
that?
the course that mom should be looking for?
So it's the MNRI, Masgutova, Neurosensorimotor Reflex Integration. And the first course that you pretty much have to take is dynamic and postural reflex integration.
Okay.
There's also another one that's tactile integration. So those two.
Okay.
And it's touch, like you're applying the touch, the healing touch for the child.
And so at your practice, this is amazing. So at Charleston OT, your patients are not just pediatric. Is that right?
And we end up seeing a lot of families.
Wait till you see Maggiani on your
I
list.
mean, I have, for me personally, like I have families where I'm seeing every family member on rotation.
Yeah.
And that's the best way. Like I see it so often where it's like, and you know, the child's behavior or whatever, you know, I don't like to call it behavior, but it's a symptom. And, you know, it's like the parents, we just want the symptom to go away.
Right.
And it's like, you know, we have to address the whole family. It's like a systemic thing.
You don't just treat
like the
symptom,
root of the symptom is systemic. It's a lot of times it's these epigenetic traumas that are passed down. So, and the moms are like, oh, just help my kid. And it's like, okay, but you're here and you're literally the most stressed out person that I have ever seen.
Yes.
And rightfully so, because your child is struggling.
That's right.
But, you know, you've got to, and even you, like when we first met, like your nervous system now, like you're totally different.
Wow. That is such a huge compliment.
Yes.
But I'm still coming to see you.
Yes.
For this after we're done with this.
As you should. If you have a body and a brain.
I'm coming to see you.
Come on down.
I don't know if my brain will be with me, but I'm coming.
But
that is such a huge compliment.
And that's why your children are thriving more now too. Is because your nervous system has shifted. You've paved the way for them. Like they're not going to be more regulated than us ever.
That is so smart. And I think it's something that Shannon and I have talked about. And I've always said we have to start with us because we set the tone of the house.
Yes.
And if I'm in a bad mood, guess what? You're all going to be in a bad mood. I have literally told my kids, if you ruin my day, I will ruin your day. And I'm ruining their day with my, attitude. So
that's it. It's co-regulation.
I try.
The family has one nervous system.
Yes, that makes so much sense.
It does make so much sense. And it's all the things I feel like I say, but then to actually practice it, for some reason, I get stuck. But
yeah, and we want
a switch.
We want to just flip the switch and get there. And it doesn't happen like that. Like we're talking, you know, I started my MNRI training 2016. So we're talking 10 years of like deep nervous system healing.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
You're a couple years, you know, and it's not, and Quinn, like it's a couple years, it's not a big thing. Like
it doesn't happen overnight.
Expect, you know.
So how long do you usually, so Quinn's been with you for 2 years. Is this something that would be her entire childhood? Like,
and
what
it's
do you
not
typically...
consecutive, right? Like we've gone, so typically, so Dr. Masgutova, who's my mentor, she says that like true neuroplasticity, true brain rewiring takes 6 months to create new pathways. So, you know, you'll see changes before then, but if we're talking like change in the brain that's going to rewire the foundation, it's a solid 6 months of like consistent therapy.
Right.
A lot of times it's maintenance after that, just check-ins.
Okay. Right. So that 6 months, is that weekly?
We like to do weekly, but or at least I like to do weekly for at least like 3 months. And then sometimes we can back off. And everyone's individual, right? So sometimes we can get there faster. Sometimes they require more.
And so just again, from just really understanding your practice and Charleston OT, when you have a new patient, is it first just doing different assessments and things like that?
Yeah. So Charleston OT is insurance based. So we are operating under the insurance world. So we have to do an initial evaluation, and we are assessing the reflexes, but we're also, a lot of times the insurances need to see some other standardized assessment. So that's where we do assess the fine motor. We do assess sensory, just to give us like a standardized score, because they're going to want to see that.
Sure.
So once we have that, then we can set the frequency from there.
But actually, that's really helpful to know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's extra steps for you to be insurance-based, but that is helpful because that's part of what I found on this journey. It can be really hard, really expensive. Like, it can be really hard to find the right people and then be able to figure out.
And then once you find them, it's so much money out of pocket that you're like, how do I sustain this?
Yeah. And I actually don't practice under Charleston OT. So I don't take insurance for me. So a lot of times people will call me and I'm like, hey, here's my price. But I always offer them. But I have other therapists where if this is your preference. And sometimes if it's more complicated, I'm like, well, why don't we do the first session with me so I can get my hands on, and then we can go under insurance and I can help with treatment planning.
Okay.
Because there is a different level of training that I have versus my therapists.
Yes.
But, the whole reason I started Charleston OT was because I worked for other pediatric companies in the area. And I was like, this is like a hamster wheel. Like, we're just like churning out visits. Like, nobody cares what kind of therapy I'm providing. And I was like, I do not want that. Like, I want to support my therapist to provide this very beneficial therapy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's important for me. Like, I've had people be like, why don't you just not take insurance? Because it is a stressor for us.
Right.
Like, big time. And I'm like, I would never do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, we serve hundreds of families every week in the Charleston area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. When did you start Charleston OT?
We're going to be 10 years in June.
Wow.
I know.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is. Yeah. I've recently done some more like business-oriented mentorship, and actually only 3% of businesses of small businesses make it to the 10-year mark.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank
Honestly,
you.
I hope you take a moment.
Yeah, I did. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Also, just the impact that you're having in all of the people that you've seen, like, and the impact that we're having for listeners who, again, might not be in the Charleston area. Maybe they'll come for an intensive, or even just to start research in a different way, thinking about what you've shared today. Because this is so much. It's so much good information, and it's the way you speak about it. It makes so much sense, that it's fascinating that this isn't talked about more in a more mainstream way.
I hope the biggest thing is like, we're not failing, because this is coming out in this generation.
Yeah.
Like, we're not. Truly, it's a sign of success that our children feel safe enough.
It is true, because I would have never.
And now and then we have all these nervous system issues, autoimmune issues, health issues, because we've stuffed everything down.
That's right.
That's what our generation of moms is dealing with, mom guilt. And it's like, we also have to trust, like you said, like, my children are here to be my teachers. Like, we have to have a certain level of trust in them and in their path too.
Right.
That, like, we have to trust that, like, they came here for us to be their parents too, because they have learning.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so true. And I do feel like my kids got the best mom for them. Like, through me, I am going to give them all the tools to go out and be the best that they can be. And that's why I put everything I have into them. Like, they're, and before, my focus was like, my marriage is going to come first, then my children, and then, I'm going to do it this way, and this is going to be the best way. And then I'm like, now I've kind of changed. Like, my husband and my marriage, yes, that's important to me, but also pouring into these kids, because I only have like 8 more years to have the impact that I have with them.
Yeah.
And but starting when they're little, I feel like is the best route. Like, don't listen to somebody else tell you, oh, they're going to grow out of it. Oh, that's normal. Yeah. Oh, that's what kids do. They cry all the time. Listen to your gut.
Yeah.
Truly.
But Nicole, do you think that there is a point where it's quote unquote too late?
I do not. I believe that our bodies know what to do under the right conditions to heal. Like, it doesn't make sense. Why would we only be able to go one way on a continuum of healing? Like, our bodies want to function efficiently. Our brains want to function efficiently.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I think that's really reassuring, right? Because, we've talked before about how sometimes, even if you recognize things early for a number of different reasons, if support wasn't there, to know, it's not, there's no such thing as too late.
Yeah.
It's our, like you said, it's our bodies, it's our brain.
Yeah.
I'm 46.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't start working on myself truly until I was in my mid-40s.
Yeah. And I think it's so hard when you're like in it and you're like in the thick of it to even see that there can be a better place. And then it's like, it's called change blindness. Like, once we start to come out of it, it's like we forget how bad it was, So it's like we just want to get to the next level.
Yeah.
I feel like is that protection, you think, that we forget? Like,
yeah, I think that's part of it.
I forget all the time how bad things were, are.
Yeah, and I think, it's like our drive to be better. Like, if you're very self-motivated, it's like you're just going to be focused
on getting better,
on the next target.
Right.
Yes.
So it is like, these milestones, like, we do have to take the time. And that comes with nervous system regulation, to slow down enough to look back.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
It's such a good point. I mean, there's so much. I feel like we could do, like, how much time do you have? Right. Seriously.
Part 2.
But I guess because just thinking about time, and I know you have 2 children you have to get back to, what are some, you have shared so much amazing information. I cannot thank you enough for everything. I think this is just going to be, I hope everybody hears this episode, listens to it, sends it to other people, because there's just so much knowledge that you've shared that I've had 15 aha moments in this conversation.
Beautiful.
Honestly. And I think if we think about practical takeaways for people who are listening, and thinking about everybody's starting at a different place. We're not all starting at 0. We're not all starting at 50. We're all on a different part of that journey. I mean, what are some clear takeaways you would want our listeners to have in thinking about, if they're recognizing their kids in a constant state of fight or flight, or what you say, you don't want to call them necessarily behavioral issues, but if there are things that are happening and you can't figure out how to get to the root of it, what are some of the takeaways you want our listeners to have?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like just trusting your intuition. I feel like sometimes traditional medicine gives pushback to moms on, if you go to your pediatrician and they're like, it's okay, just wait it out. Like, I will 100% always believe a mom's intuition and be like, find another pediatrician.
Yeah.
Or if your child is really struggling, then if you need a referral, then just pay out of pocket. Do what you have to do. Yes. And I believe that the way will show itself, even if it's just for the initial evaluation to go, and then you could go back to your pediatrician and show them. But I think that's kind of where we do see pushback is okay, we need a referral. The doctor doesn't think there's an issue. Okay, now what?
Truly, our system makes it so hard. And it can be so frustrating because, like you said, we're all moving at such a pace that there's barely any time, right? So when you carve out the time to have the different conversations and it's met with, oh, nothing's wrong, I'm not going to be referred, it can be hard to then find that next window of time to do all of the digging and all of the research. I mean, honestly, because there's just always
something. But also, what I found is that they just want to keep putting my kids on medication.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that going on medication is not, everybody's journey is different. But what I found was that they were very quick to push medication on Griffin.
Yeah.
I mean, I was told at 4 years old at his neuropsychology appointment that he may need to be medicated one day. And that's what they were telling me at 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so, which he has taken Prozac, but I feel like there was a deeper rooted issue that I was trying to get to the bottom of to help him. And when he did take Prozac, it did help him for a while so that we could smooth him out so we could do some other therapies.
Right.
So, everything in its time, but also kind of searching for other options.
Yeah. And some of it is unfortunately like societal and cultural, like them saying he needs to be on medication is like, what is this going to look like in a public school system? You know, that's the behavioral standard that they're going off of, is he's not going to be able to sit in a classroom without being disruptive.
Right.
And that's just not reasonable for a 4-year-old boy.
Right.
Which is honestly why I homeschool my kids.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, they would not thrive. You know, it would be the same thing. So some of it is like our culture has gotten a little off track. And these are my personal beliefs on like what we expect from children.
Yeah, it's
like,
changing.
I can't sit down for 6 hours and then go home and do more work. You know, I can't. I could never. Yeah. So why are we
expecting these young children?
And then so sometimes what we're seeing, these behaviors, they're symptoms of like, it's not a good fit. It's a mismatch of expectation versus what this child developmentally should be doing.
Right. And then when they're not regulated, I feel like their maturity level, even if they're a certain age, it's not matching. Yeah. It's not there.
Right. And we see it so often. It's like they're fine all day at school and then they get home to their safe place. And now that's what we're seeing, right?
So what plays out.
Yeah. And I'm not saying pull your kids out of school, homeschool them, right? Like, you know.
Griffin's saying that. Quinn and Griffin are saying that every single day.
It's hard. It doesn't work for everyone. I feel really grateful that I have control over my schedule and I'm able to do that.
Right.
But, you know, I think that's where implementing the strategies ahead of time, not waiting for the meltdown. Like, okay, and it doesn't have to happen fast. I think we're in this pace too, societally, where like everything has to happen fast. The healing needs to happen fast. And it just doesn't work like that. It's like one thing. Like, if you can do one thing, okay, like that's all. If all you have the capacity for today is a 60-second hug before your child melts down, like get that hug in. You know, and then the next day, do that again. One thing, and that's going to move the needle.
Yeah.
But if we're like so frantic about, you know, pushing through, well, one, like we're going to skip steps in the healing and we're not going to get there. We're going to have to go back.
Right.
So this is amazing. Time. I mean, seriously. So I think some of the things I have been making mental notes of, and this is definitely an episode where I hope people, you know, some of our note takers out there are jotting things down, because we've heard a lot of feedback from people saying they'll sort of write while they're listening. You talked about practical things you can do, and I think this goes for children and adults, right?
100%.
Movement breaks.
Yeah.
Breathing.
Yeah.
Touch.
Yes.
Physical touch. So I think that's really important to remember, and doing it before the meltdown happens. Because I know when meltdowns are happening in my house, guess what? My fight or flight is starting too. And then I've said before, I go from 0 to 60 faster than anybody. And then I wonder why my little ones are so capable of that. You know, the whole mirror thing. So I think that's really helpful. You know, you've also talked so much, you use the word healing, which I think is it's felt very comforting to me when you say that, because I think it's so true. We have to heal, and that takes time. We're such a need it now society.
Yes.
You know, just the pace of life is absolutely outrageous, and the expectations on us as adults feels like so much that you can only imagine how it must feel for children.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a very helpful takeaway, is just take a breath and know that things are going to take time. You know, just because you've made the decision, we're going to heal, it doesn't mean that next week you're healed, right? I mean, you said you've been on this journey for 10 years. I'm sure you're still learning and healing and growing every day.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, I hope those are some takeaways that folks listening. I know for me, and this has been like, I feel like this is a pretty game-changing moment, hopefully for my family. But so we're going to get into a fun little segment that we're going to do at the end. But I want to make sure if there's any other takeaways or things that we want our listeners to make sure that they're hearing, that we share that.
I think trust your gut.
Yeah.
You know, trust your gut and seek out what you're looking for.
Yeah. And just know it's always going to get better.
Yes.
Like that always, you know, someone said to me, I was going through a really hard thing, and they were like, you know, the sun always comes up. But like, when you're in these periods that feel like darkness, it's so hard to believe that like it's going to get better.
Yeah.
So
a really great takeaway.
Like every day the sun comes up.
Yes.
Like it's always going to get better. We don't know when, and we don't know why we're going through certain things, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's
amazing. That's beautiful.
That's a powerful one. I love that one.
So thank you for sharing that. You also do these intensives. Where can people find you? So charlestonot.com.
Yep. So it's www.charlestonot.com. We do also we're on Facebook, charlestonot/ST, because we do have speech therapy as well. And then on Instagram, charleston.ot.st.
Okay.
Great.
Amazing. So, Nicole, we cannot thank you enough for being here. But
I loved it.
I feel like we
truly yap about this
I truly would want to do
hours.
Part 2,
yes.
maybe part 3.
I would love that. Yes.
But one of the things that we're doing is what we're calling sort of just rapid fire. So the segment where
I love this.
Nicole and I have created some questions. Nicole has not seen those questions.
Okay.
The idea is we're going to go through it quickly.
Perfect.
First thing that comes to mind, one sentence max, just kind of to share. So, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do weighted blankets really work?
Yes.
One sensory tool every mom should have in their house.
I think I go back to the hug.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That. Can kids co-regulate even if the parent is dysregulated?
No.
We covered that quite a bit. We wrote these before.
Super clear.
Yes, very clear. Most misunderstood thing about occupational therapy?
Yeah, I think that it's just this tabletop, static, fine motor activities, swings, and it is that, but it can be so much more.
Much more. Fidget toys, helpful or hype?
I think they're helpful.
If you could shout one thing to all overwhelmed moms, what would it be?
You're not failing. You are succeeding because you're listening to this podcast.
That's a good one.
In one sentence, what does a regulated home feel like?
It's not going to be regulated all the time. It's the rupture and repair.
Okay. Does doom scrolling calm us or lie to us?
Okay, it's not the best.
It's the worst, actually.
Yeah. So I'm just like the whole dopamine addiction.
Yeah.
But what if it's all positive quotes?
I love my algorithm. I feel like I get a lot of very inspirational stuff, but it's like what energy am I turning to?
Yes.
Like at what period of time? Where is my nervous system when I'm initiating the scroll?
100%.
Love that.
I know where mine is.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Same girl, same.
Escape.
Yeah.
If you could take one thing out of modern motherhood to help our nervous systems, what would it be?
Oh, I would take out the mom guilt. It is not helpful.
Oh my gosh. How do we get rid of this? Yes. Most common things parents panic about that's actually normal.
Oh, interesting. I would say a lot around like potty training. I feel like parents really want like a certain age and for it to be one and done. And maybe I'm only saying this because my kids have fluctuated with it, but I'm also just like, I think sometimes there's variations of normal with that one.
I love that. Right.
So when Matthew.
Yeah. Well, because I'm already hearing I have a 2.5-year-old.
Okay.
And I have some folks in my ear going, what do you mean he's not potty trained? I'm like, he's 2.5.
Oh,
he's not ready yet.
Yeah.
And I'm very much of the mind, and I wasn't like this with the first. Like we all change as we.
Yeah.
But when he's ready, he's going to go on potty. Like certainly he's going to get sick of going in his diaper.
Yeah. And not always. Sometimes there's other stuff going on. But I think there is like some readiness where parents we want to make sure that they're successful with it and not push them too far, especially with that one.
Yeah.
There's a lot tied to that. Same thing with feeding.
Okay.
There's a lot of control that can surface if we're pushing too hard.
Oh, this is fascinating. All right. Last one. One myth about OT that makes you roll your eyes.
Oh, funny. Well, this is, maybe not roll my eyes, but when I was working in a hospital, I would go in and introduce myself. Hey, I'm Nicole. I'm an occupational therapist. And I had an older gentleman tell me, well, I already have a job.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah. It's like, well, then you don't need me.
You're like, you certainly don't understand anything about
he was
what it
laid
is
up
that I
after
do.
like an orthopedic surgery. I was like, oh
my goodness.
Wow. Well, this was such a fun episode.
Yes, this was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I feel so much better just talking to you today.
Yeah.
Me too. Oh, you bring, I mean, I think I've expressed it like 10 times already throughout this episode. But yes, I feel like this is going to be a moment that I look back on and I'm like, this is when things started to shift because I'm going to practice healing
I'm so
in
happy
our
to
home.
hear that. Yes.
No, honestly, I mean, there's just so much that, and you say, you share it in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. And I
or
appreciate
judgmental.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
I mean, I'm in it too.
Yeah.
Well, see, because you're real. Because here's me thinking, oh my gosh, you literally have it all figured out.
Oh
But
my
thank
gosh.
you for saying
No,
you're a real.
we're feral.
person.
Like me and my kids, I'm just like, we are all feral.
Because we're all human beings,
Yes,
right? Our
right.
emotions are real, and it's not going to be perfect.
No,
Perfect
never.
is stupid,
Yeah.
right? But
Yes.
we shouldn't even use that.
No, who made that word?
Right?
Yeah.
No.
And that alone creates so much stress.
There's a lot of pressure in this world, isn't there? And I think I put a lot of the pressure in my
Yes.
We do. We do put a lot of pressure, and we put a lot of pressure on our kids to act and be and look a certain way.
It's true.
Yeah.
Which, when we just let it be. So
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think,
but this is why, but this is where the mom guilt fits in, though, because now I'm sitting here going, oh, can I turn back time? Like, I feel like I could do things
no, we're going to look
differently.
forward.
You're right.
Yeah.
We're going to look forward, and everything happens in its own timing. If I would have done something differently at a certain period of time, I don't think that was the direction I would be going in. I think it all evolves naturally and organically the way it should.
Yeah.
At the right time. I truly believe that.
And that's where that trust comes in. Like something bigger. Like
yes.
Yeah.
Trust our kids, trust ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Sometimes it feels that way. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you so much.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
been an honor.
And
I'm really excited to be here.
I think that my big takeaway too is go home and hug your kids.
Yes, I love that.
Hug your kids.
A long hug.
Yes.
20 seconds. 20 seconds.
And hug your friends, your family.
Yeah.
Let's all hug
it out. So thank you so much for listening, for watching. Please share this episode with others.
Yes.
This is some really amazing, I cannot thank you enough and can't wait to have you back on.
Yes.
Very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.